It's never fun.
Buffalo Bills. It is a 31-degree bitter cold day in Buffalo. The wind may be a factor later on. The forecast, chance of a snow flurry later today, and it will get even colder. This has been a difficult and emotional week for the New York Jets, with their thoughts on their partially paralyzed teammate Dennis Byrd, who will be watching from Lenox Hill Hospital in New York, while Jim Kelly and his Buffalo Bills hope to turn around from last week's poor performance in losing to the Indianapolis Colts. Kelly had 4 of his passes batted down, completing only 11 of 33. Thus, the Bills in a battle for home field advantage in the playoffs at 9-3, along with Pittsburgh, Kansas City, and Miami at 8-4. Hi, everybody. Marv Albert, along with Bill Parcells, and Bill, for Jim Kelly, it certainly was a flat performance by the entire Buffalo offense.
Yes, it was, Marvin. All of them had a hand in it. Jim Kelly in particular, 4 batted balls, 7 drop passes. Just not a memorable performance offensively for the Buffalo Bills at Indianapolis. And
the Bills have won the toss, and they will receive. Kenneth Davis and Al Edwards are back. It's taken by Edwards, and he will stay right there. I'll look at the Buffalo Bills offensive line, and this group that has done a nice job. Jim Kelly sacked only 16 times in 12 games. Wolford, Richer, Hull, Parker, and Ballard. Thurman Thomas and Carwell Gardner are the running backs. Jim Kelly's receivers, Andre Reed, James Lofton, who's had his difficulties recently, and Keith McKellar. The extra tight end, when the Bills go to what they call the pair, is Pete Metzelaars. So Buffalo with a record of 9-3. Last Sunday, losing in overtime to Indianapolis, as Kelly goes incomplete. The pass intended for Thurman Thomas. Mark Gunn is the man replacing Dennis Byrd at left defensive end. Scott Mercereau, although bothered by an ankle problem, says he's all right. And in the secondary, Brim Hasty, Washington, and Young. In the dime, Dennis Price, Audrey Coors come on. Buffalo out of the no huddle in a 2nd down and 10. And here is Thomas. Short of the first down, hauled down by Mo Lewis. To that loss in Week 5 to the Miami Dolphins. Hit a down period, appeared to snap out of it, won 5 straight until last week against the Colts. It's a 3rd down and 2. The hole opened up for Thomas, and then he's stopped by Marvin Washington.
One of the things the Bills have to try to do, and they tried in the first series there, is get Thurman Thomas established on the run. But the Jets, playing their nickel defense with 2 strong linebackers in there, Kyle Clifton and Mo Lewis, reacted well to that draw, and they bring up a punting situation for Buffalo.
Yes, Thomas 2 yards short. Here's Chris Moore, who had an excellent day last week against the Colts. Punted 6 times, averaged 48 yards per punt. Rob Carpenter is back. Moore just did get it away. Only a 30-yard punt by Moore. And here comes Browning Nagel, who is back in the starting lineup. Ken O'Brien now on the injured list after hurting his thumb once again last week in that starting assignment. Offensive line continues to shuffle. The rookie, Siapeli Malamalo, who made his first NFL start last week at left tackle, now starting at right tackle. Later on, we'll see Dave Cadigan in that 3-guard rotation. Nagel at quarterback. Johnny Hector starting for the injured Blair Thomas, along with Brad Baxter in the H. The extra tight end, Ken Wisenhunt, comes on. And we may see quite a bit of the double tight end because the Colts had success last week with it against Buffalo. First down for the Jets from their 42-yard line. And Nagel able to complete to the one-time Buffalo Bill, Chris Burkett, stopped by the left corner, Kirby Jackson, and that is good for 14 yards.
15-yard gain, first down.
Well, that front 7 for the Bills. Hanson, Wright, and Smith. Linebackers outstanding. Bennett, Conlon, Bailey, and Talley. And the Buffalo secondary featuring Jackson, Odoms, Jones, and Kelso. The extra defensive backs, J.D. Williams, Matt Darby come in on the dime. 2 minutes have gone by. Jets with a first down at the Buffalo 43. And Baxter able to break the tackle. So Brad Baxter stopped by the combination of Shane Conlon and Darryl Talley, but it appeared the Bills had him back before the line. He was able to whip by Cornelius Bennett.
Well, one of the things that Bruce Coslett and Browning Nagel said is, you know, they're going to take a little page for the Indianapolis book. Ted Marchibroda's offense against the Bills, very successful last week. So you're going to see a lot of one back and two tight ends. And there Cornelius Bennett playing off the block, but missing the tackle on Baxter. And he's able to turn up for a big game. But a lot of one back attack for the Jets, because the Jets are very short on backs today.
It's a 2nd and 2. And Burkett with his second catch for a first down. Stopped by Odoms and Talley. Chris Burkett spent 5 years with the Buffalo Bills. Did not leave on happy terms. And in talking with Chris over the past 2 years, and he's done very well with the Jets, in particular in special team play, he admits that he was a bit on the immature side when he was here. Didn't handle things properly.
Well, you know, sometimes it takes time for players to develop. And, you know, Burkett was fortunate to get an opportunity to come to the Jets and has had a very, very good career with the Jets since he's arrived.
Big hit on Johnny Hector from Shane Conlon. Shane Conlon making it back after missing 3 games. Returned last week against the Colts. He'd been bothered by an ankle problem. A loss of 1 on the play. It'll be a 2nd and 11 at the 29. Back to the subject of Chris Burkett. He has been a target of the Bills. You mentioned on the pregame show that these two clubs don't necessarily like each other. And Jeff White, the Buffalo nose tackle, claims that he took a couple of cheap shots from Burkett when they had that melee in the Monday night game. It's dropped. Intended for Burkett.
Now, there's been some conflict and a little bantering back and forth in the papers between Wright and Burkett. There's Burkett working against Kirby Jackson underneath Darryl Talley. The ball off Burkett's hands, but Wright said in the paper up here in Buffalo this week that Burkett just better watch it a little bit. He's conscious of when Burkett's around him.
It's a 3rd down and 11. Pat Chafee now in the backfield for the Jets. 2nd-year player out of Oregon State. Nagel to put it up, looking for Chafee. He's got him, but he's stopped inside the 25 by the free safety, Mark Kelso.
So far, the execution on the part of the Jets would be just what Bruce Coslett wants. You know, they've got the wind to their back, and it is a very strong wind, and got the ball in good field position. And, you know, they've hit the receivers. They've made a couple of good runs already, and, you know, they're in the scoring zone here. And with the wind to his back, Blanchard should have a relatively easy shot at this field goal.
It's a 41-yard attempt by Kerry Blanchard, 12 of 16 for the season. Kerry Blanchard has become a very close friend of Dennis Byrd. And, you know, back at Lenox Hill Hospital, Dennis and his family appreciating that field goal by Blanchard. It officially goes down as a 42-yard field goal. So the Jets take the early lead with 5 minutes gone by in this first quarter. Point of view in light of the Dennis Byrd situation, I would think if the Jets should upset the Bills or play extremely well, it will be said that Dennis Byrd was the inspiration. But if Buffalo wins, I would think it'll be rationalized then that the Jets have their minds on other matters.
Well, Bruce Coslett said early in the week that this was not going to be a motivational thing. And the thing that Bruce Coslett had to do extra this week, besides the game plan and putting these guys on injured reserve, O'Brien and Eatman and Blair Thomas, and getting new players integrated in the system. Heck, he had a crisis counselor in there to talk to the team. And one of his big jobs, he told me yesterday, was dispelling the inaccurate information that was circulating around the Jets camp in regard to Dennis.
Yes, all kinds of rumors that were popping up. That kickoff carries out of bounds.
He had to make sure that the team was getting totally accurate information because of their great concern. And so that was part of the thing. And then Of course, he has to get the new players in and the game plan ready to go. And it really wasn't until Friday that they started to put the hammer down and said, hey, fellas, we got to play football here on Sunday. Let's get ready to go.
Jet players told us yesterday that on Friday night, President-elect Bill Clinton called Dennis Byrd at the hospital. And Clinton said to Dennis, hey, we're praying for you. Dennis said, no, we're praying for you. But they had about a 10-minute conversation. It's Thurman Thomas off the slant, reaching to the 45-yard line. Stopped by James Hasty, and it is a Buffalo first down.
Well, you're into the wind early in the game. You know, you're trying to consume time and get the running game going, and 2 out of the first 3 plays the Bills ran in the first series were runs, and that's what they want to do, establish Thurman Thomas early in the game.
And apparently they changed the spot at 2nd and 1. And here's Thomas to the open field. Penalty marker tossed in the backfield as Lottie Young chased Thomas out of bounds. The penalty against the Jets. A 37-yard run by Thomas.
They've got Thurman Thomas established already now. 4 carries, and he's well on his way to 100 already.
Illegal use of the hands on the defense, number 94. Hands to the face. 5-yard penalty. First down.
Referee Dick Hantack with the call on Scott Mercereau.
Well, you're not allowed to put your hands to the face. Mercereau inside. He's fighting the block by the center, Kent Hull, and he lifts his palm up into Hull's face mask, and that's a good call by the umpire.
In that earlier game against the Jets on Monday night, Thomas ran for 142 yards. That was back in October. Here's Davis to the outside. And he is hit down at the 6-yard line by Brian Washington. So the 37-yard run, and a beauty by Thurman Thomas, setting it up here for the Buffalo Bills, who are trailing 3-0 with 6 minutes gone by in the first quarter.
And the interesting thing that the Bills have done early in this game, usually when you face Buffalo, you expect 3 wide receivers and a tight end. Well, right now they've got 2 tight ends and 2 backs in the game, and they're utilizing a lot of different personnel now that they didn't use a few years ago.
Oh, Davis is hit down. The quick move by the right defensive end, Marvin Washington.
Well, Marvin Washington coming off the right side. Buffalo was trying that counter tray, and they weren't able to seal Washington off. You see the guard and tackle Richter and Wolford pulling, but the tight end Metzelaars was assigned to cut Washington off. He wasn't able to do it. Washington got big penetration and created the minus play.
It creates a 3rd down and 7 just inside the 10-yard line. Thurman Thomas is back. Andre Reed is split to the left. James Lofton in the slot. Kelly looking left. Intended for Thomas, who was looking for interference. He was covered by Mo Lewis.
And that was good coverage by Mo Lewis. Thomas wanted the call, but Lewis made no interference. He was very close on him, but he just on his back there, but he didn't touch him. You see Lewis pulling his hands back, and that's no interference.
The field goal unit checking in, a 26-yard attempt for Steve Christie, who has had a terrific season. 18 of 22. Last week hit from 52 and 44 against the Colts. Angle to the left for Christie. So the Bills have tied the game at 3. 7:56 remaining. First quarter from Buffalo.
Fruit of the Loom, clothes for the best of your life. By Pontiac and your nearby Pontiac dealers, we are driving excitement. By Schick Tracer, it traces every curve on your face. And by Miller Genuine Draft Light, the cold filtered light with smooth draft taste, GD Light.
Marv Albert, Bill Parcells from Rich Stadium in Buffalo. Steve Christie with a 27-yard field goal, tying the game for Buffalo at 3-3. And now Christie will kick off to the combination of Terrence Mathis and A.B. Brown. A.B. Brown back on the roster after being cut a second time, re-signed this week. Mathis gang tackled across the 30-yard line. And there is the injured tackle, Irv Eatman, put on the injured list with a sprained ankle. Irv with a little warning to his teammates concerning today's game, referring to Buffalo. They'd like nothing better than to smash us and trash us, and they'd still say nice things, wish us well, referring to their good wishes regarding Dennis Byrd, which I'm sure they mean, he says, but I also know they'd like to blow us out of Rich Stadium.
Well, you know, you got a division rival. That's supposed to, you know, that's the way it's supposed to be. You're supposed to try to beat them and blow them out of the stadium when you get them on the road.
Play action for Nagel. He is picked off. The interception by Shane Conlon. Last week against the Colts, Conlon had an opportunity for an interception, couldn't hang on, but this one he was able to clutch.
Well, they faked the draw on Nagel. Tight end's coming across. He's trying to hit the deep square in behind, but it's an ill-advised throw because the safety, Henry Jones, had Rob Moore well covered, and of course he underthrew it, and then Conlon made the great interception. And, you know, with the wind here, the Jets have to take advantage of the wind when they have it, and now Buffalo is the one into the wind with the good field position.
11th time this season Nagel has been intercepted, first of the year, as you saw, for Conlon. Penalty flag is thrown.
Davis, the ball carrier. Washington making
Kenneth Davis. And let's see what the penalty is all about. It is against the Jets.
Jets are offside there. Defensive stop.
And Davis battling his way.
Ryan Washington making the tackle.
Kenneth Davis in his 7th season out of Texas Christian. He's averaging just under 5 yards per carry. A quick slashing style runner. Bit of a change of pace from Thurman Thomas.
Well, that's right. He is a change of pace. And Tom Bresnahan was telling us that as the division rivals became more accustomed to playing against Buffalo's spread no-huddle offense, that Buffalo in turn had to use more personnel to make it more difficult for the teams to predict what they were going to do. So here's what you're seeing right now, this tight end power offense.
And Davis is stopped behind the line by Lonnie Young. Some help from Marvin Washington as they collaborate on Davis.
Well, you see the Jets have an awful lot of guys up on the front defense, 8-man up, and they're trying to run the counter tray, but the penetration's just too great. And that's the style of defense that you have to play when you're trying to stop that counter tray offense, which necessitates a guard and tackle pulling in front of the ball carrier. If you penetrate well, like we've seen a couple of times here, you can stop that play with penetration.
It's a 3rd and 9 back at the 41. Game is tied at 3. 6 minutes to go, first quarter. Inside handoff, and Mercereau was right there to greet Thurman Thomas. Quick move by Scott Mercereau. Scott, involved in that collision last week with Dennis Byrd, was a question mark during the course of this week because of a bad ankle. He's come up with 2 solid hits in the first quarter.
Well, he just stunted his way right into that play. You see Paul Frey's 91 went down. Mercereau came around, and that disrupted the blocking scheme on the part of the Buffalo Bills, and he just ran right smack into Thomas and made the tackle.
And here's Chris Moore punting to Rob Carpenter. So Carpenter lets it go. It's a 42-yard punt, and when we come back, the Jets will start out from their 20. He said the players were too involved watching the Miami-New Orleans game that was up on the big screen. Marv said he was guilty too. In effect, the attention span just wasn't there.
Well, you win as much as Buffalo has, and I know we had that problem from time to time with the Giants when we were on some winning streaks. You'd run into a game, it seems like there's always one each year where something like that happens. You're not ready, you don't have that edge, you wind up either playing a close game and winning or getting beat like Buffalo did last week, and it's very difficult to fight that element when you win as much as Buffalo does.
Jets have the two tight ends, Boyer and the rookie Mitchell, are in there for this first down at the 20. Back to the ground for Baxter. A short pickup by Brad Baxter. Right here, we're set for an update. Let's go to Bob Costas.
All right, Marv, alongside Lake Erie, the Browns take a 7-0 lead in the Battle of Ohio over the Bengals. Kevin Mack over the left side, wide open for the touchdown, a 7-yard run that puts them up in the first at home 7-0 as they try and take their record to 7-6. Marv?
Thank you, Bob. Second down and 7 at the 23. Back in Buffalo with just under 5 minutes remaining. In this opening quarter, the Jets and the Bills tied at 3. And Baxter is stopped. Lost on the play. The nose tackle, Jeff Wright, was right there.
What's interesting to me is the approach the Jets are taking. And in looking at the tapes of the Indianapolis game against Buffalo last week, the Jets are employing the exact formation that Ted Marchibroda and the Colts used to move the ball successfully against Buffalo last week. Now they're in their spread out offense. It's the first time they've been in it today.
And Johnny Hector, the long deep back. Buffalo leads the AFC in defending against the run. And the Jets have not been able to run against the Bills. Nagel throwing it away. Johnny Hector in the area, but he had nowhere to go, and he put it on the ground.
Well, that was a screen pass. Now you see Jeff Criswell blocking Bruce Smith on top of the screen and Johnny Hector helping out. Well, while he's doing it, Smith recognizes that it's supposed to be a screen, and as a result, the screen was to Hector, and Nagel didn't have anybody to throw to.
And here's Louis Aguiar in punt formation. Clifford Hicks back at his 35. Long count. And Aguiar hit it well. Hicks had a back pedal and gets the jet bounce inside the 20-yard line. That will go down as a 62-yard punt for Aguiar. We'll be right back. Which did very little last week against the Colts, has been silent in the first quarter. The only gain of substance, the 37-yard run by Thurman Thomas.
I think Buffalo is just trying to wait till this quarter's over and they can get the win behind them before they spread out. I mean, they've been in this tight offense most of the time, and you know, they just want to wait till they get good field position with the win.
Bill starting from the 16. Carwell Gardner got the call, could not make the turn, and he stopped for a loss on the play. Carwell Gardner, a 3-year NFL man out of Louisville, second-round draft pick back in 1990. He's averaging about 4 yards per carry.
And Gardner's one of those interchangeable guys, Marv. You know, he can be a fullback, and he's big enough, 245 or 50 pounds, where he can line up in the tight end position. So you got some versatility and power and extra blocking when you have a guy like Gardner in it.
He lost 2. It's a 2nd and 12. Thomas run out at the 20-yard line by Mo Lewis. Coming up next on most of these NBC stations, hope you stay with us, include a doubleheader today in your market. So we suggest you check your local listings or get an attorney. It's a 3rd down and 6. Hard hit on Metzelaars as he made the catch at the first down marker. Mike Grimm with the hit on Pete Metzelaars.
But that time, Jim Kelly's pass protection was just so good that he was able to scan the whole field, just stand back there. He looks to his left, there's nothing there, pulls the ball down, and finally comes back to Metzelaars. But the pass protection is what you could credit with that interception. I mean, with that reception.
For Jim Kelly, his first completion. Kelly bothered by a bruised right hand during the course of the week, but told us that it is all right. First down play for Kelly, and another completion for Thurman Thomas. Run out by Mo Lewis and James Hasty, but not after he picked up 21 yards.
There's nobody out here in the flat, and that's why Thurman Thomas is so wide open. And you see Kelly takes the snap there. There's no one on coverage in the flat, just the corner dropping off, and it's just an easy catch. No one was in the zone. It's an obvious busted assignment on the part of either a safety man or a linebacker for the Jets.
A minute 20 to go, first quarter. Buffalo and the Jets tied at 3. Kenneth Davis to the outside, then try to cut back.
One of the things that's given the Bills a little bit of problem here on the running game is the Jets are kind of giving them a new defensive look there that Pete Carroll told us he was going to use. It's the old Chicago Bear 46 defense as it's applied to a 4-man front. And Pete Carroll has got parts of that defense ready today, and so far that's one of the reasons they've done a pretty good job against the Buffalo running game. They've got those 8 guys up there, you know, ready to defend the run.
Second down and 7 with a half minute left in this first quarter, and off the movement, penalty markers are thrown. Look to be John Davis, who the Bills are shuffling in and out of the lineup.
False start offense prior to the snap, number 65. 5-yard penalty, still second down.
It is Davis, 6-year man from Georgia Tech. Went down last year with a knee injury and has been used sparingly this season.
Well, he hasn't played much, and sometimes before you get the feel of the game, that's what happens. You come in, you jump, you're not used, you're excited, you want to fire out and make your block, and that's what happens.
Second down and 12 at the 48. Kelly goes short range to Davis. And it is a short advance as this first quarter comes to a close. Mo Lewis again involved on the stop. So after 1 here in Buffalo, the Jets and the Bills are tied at 3. Field goal by Carrie Blanchard of the Jets. Steve Christie hit from 27. And the game is tied at 3. A first quarter that featured the all-around play of Thurman Thomas.
Well, of the 95 yards, he has 61 rushing and 21 receiving, so that's 82 out of the 95 yards now. My quick computer mind says that's about 86%.
Unbelievable. All right, second quarter underway. Third down and 8 from the 48. Kelly's pass is caught. Was he in bounds? James Lofton making the reception, and yes, he was. James Lofton, who's had all kinds of difficulties in recent weeks holding onto the football, comes up with his first catch of the day, and it's good for 15.
And you don't stay in the National Football League unless you can catch the ball as a receiver for 15 years. Now, he's had some problems the last couple of weeks, but he's a clutch receiver for him.
Out of the no huddle, Thomas. Jets had it diagnosed. Now, Bill, in your coaching days, how would you handle a situation where a player goes week to week and is just dropping balls constantly?
Well, you know, I never usually got too far down the road with those guys that drop balls, Marv, because usually we just got rid of them.
Oh, I see.
But
cut him, huh?
Yeah. But this guy here, you know, he's got so many receptions. You know, he's one of the top guys in the league. You know he can catch the ball. He's just in a slump.
Bill always with the subtle touch. Here's Thomas spinning his way, getting near the marker on the 9th play of the drive. We talked with Marv Levy about James Lofton's recent troubles, and he was telling us he doesn't think it's an indication of, as he put it, diminishing talent. we think he'll work things out. Marv also told us, now during practice, it's not the type of situation where he's running around yelling at Lofton, catch the ball.
Well, you know, a guy that's been around as long as Lofton and is as conscientious a receiver as he is, he knows what's going on. He knows he's in a slump, so he just got to concentrate a little harder. And he said all the receivers did that this week.
Third and 1, and Davis catapulting for the first down.
Well, Buffalo now is, you're seeing what Buffalo's game plan is. You see him come in with the spread offense. Starting the game, they were playing the win, try not to give the Jets a big lead with the win the first quarter. Now you're seeing the Buffalo game plan a little more wide open, a little bit better mixture of run and pass than they showed the first quarter. Here they are spread out again, you know, as wide as you can be spread.
And it's BB spreading wide left, Lofton wide right. First down at the 22-yard line. Kelly standing right in there with the time. Completes to Davis. Could not find anyone deep. And so went short to Davis, who was met by Mo Lewis.
Jim Kelly was looking for Andre Reed down the seam that time, and the Jets had him covered well enough that he had to go to his outlet receiver, Kenneth Davis. And good coverage by the Jets that time.
Andre Reed caught only 2 passes in the game against Indianapolis last week. As you see, second in the conference in receiving yards. 54 catches on the season for Reed. Now Kelly over the middle. Again at the marker for the tight end Metzelons. And once again, it's Lewis on the tackle. And it's a first down for Buffalo.
One of the mainstays of Buffalo's offense is to clear out and then work the tight end in here as the receiver clears out. This time, Metzelars just sets up in between the zone, and it's a nice, easy catch.
13th play of the drive. Davis broke a couple tackles. Clifton finally brought him down. Kenneth Davis putting the spin on. Well, we have Davis who can give you the spin. Thurman Thomas known for the little skip move.
Well, that's right, and it's comfortable for a coach to have a guy like this. You don't worry about tiring Thurman Thomas out when you have a back like Kenneth Davis, because as soon as Thomas has had enough, you put a guy like Davis in and you don't drop off very much when he's in there.
Second down and 5 at the 6. Davis getting the call, weaving his way. The ball knocked loose, covered up by Buffalo. So Davis battling his way through, then the ball jarred loose, but the Bills able to cover it up for the touchdown.
Well, the officials ruled that Davis had broken the plane with the ball in his possession. You see him weaving through the Jets there, and it's, gee, it doesn't look like he had crossed that plane to me, and there's the ball loose, but the official rules that the ball, and that's what counts, the ball had broken the plane.
Christie with the extra point to give Buffalo a 10-3 lead.
There's Davis approaching the goal line, and as he gets hit, the ball comes out just as it looks like he is approaching the goal line, so it does look like that ball was free before he actually scored the touchdown.
But it was Davis who was able to cover up to pick up the 6.
Had a better angle than we had.
Oh, reverse handoff on the kickoff return. Mathis getting it to Dale Dawkins. Marcus Patton able to push Dawkins out of bounds, and a penalty marker is down.
Well, the Jets trying a little deception on this reverse, but there's a penalty, illegal block in the back, I think, and there'll be a half the distance to the goal line penalty.
Illegal block on the return, number 20. We will penalize half the distance to the goal line. First down.
Well, that's Dennis Price, number 20. You see Mathis starting to the right, and they're going to run this reverse back to the left with Dawkins, and you see Price making that block on Chris Hale there, and it's half the distance to the goal line. And now the Bills defense usually responds to this type of field position and crowd situation.
And this is a concern of the Jets. The crowd, Jets practicing with the silent count all through the week. Baxter able to make the turn. Looked like he was trapped back behind the line, but picked up yardage.
That was a nice bit of running by Brad Baxter there, because it didn't look like there was much in the hole, and he made the adjustment and dipped it outside Cornelius Bennett and picked up some pretty good yardage. But as I said, the Bills defense usually feeds off this kind of field position. If they can just, get going and make one play, they kind of get into a frenzy, and then all those active guys like Bruce Smith and Darryl Talley and Cornelius Bennett get going and sometimes turn the game their way right here early in the first half.
It's a 2nd and 1 from the 19. Second back coming through, Johnny Hector. And let's see if he picked it up. Jeff Wright made the stop. The Bills lead by the score of 10-3 on a 14-play, 84-yard drive that consumed 7 minutes and 32 seconds. Jets did collect the first down. That the longest touchdown drive of the season for Buffalo. 7.5 minutes, 14 plays, 84 yards, capped off by the run by Davis, who incidentally hurt his hand as he crossed the goal line. First down at the 22. Hector finding a hole and reaches out to the 30-yard line. Henry Jones, Bruce Smith made the stop. Johnny Hector is the Jets' 4th all-time leading rusher. He was dropped at the start of the season and then re-signed and in the starting lineup because of the injury suffered by Thurman Thomas. It'll be a 2nd and 2 from the 30-yard line. Brennan McNeil also injured, bruised ribs. So A.B. Brown was re-signed, and the Jets a bit thin in the running back department. This is Brad Baxter. And Baxter breaking tackles with a good run across the 45 in Buffalo territory. So Baxter rips off 27. Kelso and Jones combined to make the stop.
It'll be 1st and 10 for the Jets from the Bills' 42.
One of the things the Jets try to do is create big splits between their offensive linemen and make the Bills play one-on-one defense in the hole. You see him stretching, Baxter reading. It's the splits that create the running room for Baxter, provided he can read it properly and the linemen stay on their blocks long enough. And that's exactly what happened right there. That's part of the Jets' attack on the Bills. Stretch them, split them, and try to stay on their block.
It's a first down at the 42. Here's Baxter. And he's stopped at the line. Stopped by Phil Hansen. Brad Baxter has developed into the feature back utilized by the Jets earlier in his career, who was considered a blocking back out of Alabama State in his 3rd season, originally an 11th round draft pick of the Minnesota Vikings.
Well, you get to be the feature back when you're the only one that can survive the season. And he's been a guy that's been able to survive. And durability is a big factor in the NFL, and that's why it's such an asset to have a guy like Baxter who's always out there every Sunday.
It's a 2nd and 9 at the 41. And again, it is Baxter. Did I detect a little skip move there by Brad? Not quite out of the pages of Thurman Thomas. I know you love the running backs who give that little pop.
Yeah, I don't think Baxter's the kind of guy that can do that skip. But Larry Bechtel told us yesterday, their offensive line coach, the Jets, they just want to play one-on-one football. And he also said that he had to sell Bruce Coslett by the performance on the field early in the game, that, heck, we can run the ball. And right now, this offense is doing a good job of selling Bruce Coslett on the running game.
It's a first down at the 29-yard line. 6.5 remaining, first half. Baxter tripped up. Bruce Smith got a hand on him, and Smith is hurt. Bruce Smith, a player who has made it back from knee problems. with 10 sacks. He is 5th in the AFC. He doesn't even want to discuss the injury. He's saying he's okay.
Well, also, too, one of the ways you kind of try to cope with these big splits that I've been talking about is shooting the gaps every once in a while. And that time, Bruce Smith worked off the blocker to the inside quickly and got enough penetration to stop Baxter in the backfield. And that's one of the things that you try to do.
It's a 2nd and 9 at the 28. Bills 10, Jets 3. 8th play of the drive, and Nagel completes. Terrence Mathis with a first down. Darby and Kelso make the stop. Nice pass thrown by Nagel, and it's good for 16.
Terrence Mathis just working, fakes the outside, tries to swim, gets held up. Really, it's very, very, very good coverage, but he's able to make the reception. Sometimes, no matter what you do as a defensive back, if the ball's in the right place, the receiver still has the opportunity to catch it, and that was the case right there.
The Jets with a first down at the Buffalo 13. 5 minutes left, first half. And it's Johnny Hector reaching to the 10-yard line. Conlon and Bennett combined to make the stop.
One of the things I keep mentioning is the distance between these offensive linemen. The Jets are taking inordinate amount of splits, 3 feet, and trying to make the Bills play one-on-one defense. The further you stretch the point of attack on the front side or the side you're running to, the harder it is for the backside pursuit to get there. And that's, for all intents and purposes, what the Jets are trying to do.
2nd and 7, down at the 10. Hector hit for a loss. Lost 2 on the play. Carlton Bailey from his inside linebacker position made the stop. There's Bailey, a nose tackle in college at North Carolina, in his 5th season with the Bills.
One of the things that's hard to do against the Bills, though, is outrun them, because they have a lot of speed on defense. Talley, Bennett, Bailey, and when you just pitch it and trigger that pursuit with a pitch out like the Jets just did, you get all the Buffalo Bills in the pursuit lane. So they're better off if they try to aim at the tackles and stay inside and let Baxter read.
11th play of the drive. It's a 3rd and 8. Pat Chafee is in there, so the play clock run down, and that will go down as an incomplete. Bruce Smith got a piece of it. They scrambled for the loose ball, but it will be an incomplete pass.
I'm not sure they're ruling that incomplete yet, Marv. That may be a fumble and recovered by the Jets, which may knock them out of field goal range.
The ball was a fumble. He threw with an empty hand.
It is called a fumble.
Well, the official said he threw with an empty hand, which means the ball was knocked out before his throwing motion began, and that Smith had knocked the ball out before Nagel's arm had gone forward, which is what happened. You could see it clearly on the replay, so therefore it's a fumble.
And it was recovered by Pat Chafee of the Jets. Threw with an empty hand.
Well, that means there wasn't any ball left in it. And Smith had knocked the ball out, and now into the wind, this brings up a long field goal range. There's Smith coming around the corner. Nagel sets up. Chafee trying to help on Smith, but he gets his hand on the arm and knocks the ball loose, and it's a fumble.
Timeout called. When we come back, the Jets 4th and 24. Sack on that last play, his 11th sack of the season. Now, instead of a possible 29-yard field goal attempt, it'll be Kerry Blanchard from 45 yards away because of that fumble. Blanchard hit earlier. No good. So Blanchard, who connected from 42 yards in the first quarter, coming up short from 45.
Well, into the wind, it's just too much. He hit it very solidly. You know, he kicked it as best he could kick it, but he just doesn't have enough power to drive it into the wind.
2 minutes, 53 seconds remaining first half here in Buffalo, and the Bills maintain a 10-3 lead. The Bills 10 and the Jets 3. Good start for Jim Kelly. He is 7 of 9. He's completed his last 7. Make it 8 in a row, and a first down for Andre Reed. Stopped by the right corner, James Hasty. The Bills in their hurry-up. Meanwhile, Bill, the Jets go 12 plays. They had the ball for 8 minutes and 10 seconds, and they come up with no points on that missed field goal.
You can't afford to do that, especially into the wind. That would have been a big help to them if they could have put something up. But now Buffalo's got the wind and plenty of time to run their 2-minute offense and enough timeouts to ensure scoring opportunity.
Thurman Thomas picked up 3, stopped by Kyle Clifton. 2nd and 7 at the Buffalo 48. We're approaching 2 minutes to go in the half. Bills try to run off one more play. Too late. That is the 2-minute warning. We'll be back in Buffalo in a moment. The Bills lead by a touchdown. Well, I know his family is very proud. 2 minutes to go in this first half. The Bills with a 10-3 lead on the Jets. Nice play action by Kelly, but he overthrew Reed, who was covered by Hasty, but a beautifully executed fake.
Not too many teams can fake a play action pass out of the shotgun formation, but when you have Thurman Thomas in the backfield, he attracts a lot of attention. So the Bills have incorporated even play actions into their shotgun offense, and that's really quite unusual for an NFL team to run play action out of the shotgun.
It's a 3rd and 7 at the 48. Now Kelly goes sideline for Reed. Brought down inside the 40 by Mike Brim, the left corner. Buffalo in the hurry-up. They have a first down at the 41-yard line.
Reed working against Brim just hooks it up in front. And one of the things about running this no-huddle offense, usually you're pretty good at the 2-minute drill because you're used to doing it all the time.
And again, the incompletion this time. The tight end McKellar on the reception. Short of the first down. And a timeout taken by the Bills. 1:25 remaining in this first half. Back to Rich Stadium in Buffalo. Marv Albert with Bill Parcells. The Bills with a 10-3 lead on the Jets. 1:25 to go in this first half. And Buffalo 2nd down and 2 at the Jet 33. Again, they go to the spread offense. Oh, nice catch. That was thrown up high again, but Lofton able to haul it in for another Buffalo first down. 14-yard pickup.
Well, Lofton certainly not had any trouble catching the ball today. He's made 2 real fine catches already.
First down at the 19. Here's Thomas.
Thomas, the ball carrier.
Short pickup, Mo Lewis, who it seems has made almost every Jet tackle in this first half. Coming up with that stop, Mo Lewis, a player who has made the transition from the left side following a strong rookie year. He made numerous all-rookie teams. 2nd down and 8. Kelly standing in, throwing for the throw it away. He saw that Brim was in front of Beebe and did not see anyone else.
Well, Jim Kelly, has kind of got used to looking for Beebe deep and in the scoring zone the past few weeks. And, you think of the Bills passing game, Andre Reed and James Lofton, but Don Beebe is the guy that has become actively involved from a big play capability the last few weeks.
Out of Chadron State in Nebraska, Don Beebe. 3rd down and 8. 35 seconds to go. Kelly for the end zone. Kelly is now 11 of 16, 112 yards.
Well, that time Kelly was looking for Beebe again, who's coming down, faking the post, and then going back to the corner pattern. But as he tries to go back to the corner, he slips and falls, and Kelly didn't have anywhere to go with the ball.
So on this 4th down and 8 with 31 seconds remaining, Steve Christie, who earlier hit from 27, having an outstanding season, will attempt from 35. Oh, the snap was mishandled right. Try to complete it. Metzelars, the intended receiver of that busted play.
Well, one of the things that no one realizes is when the wind is blowing, it affects even a short distance 7-yard snap from the center to the holder, and that snap was being made into the wind, and it was a little high and wiggling a little, and Wright wasn't able to hold on to it, and they had to run their fire play, which is what they call the play when the quarterback mishandles it. He yells fire, and then all the receivers go out in the pattern.
The long snapper is Adam Linger. So the Jets take over at the 18-yard line with time running down in this first half, and the Jets will just run it out. So coming up at halftime, the Domino's Pizza NFL Live halftime report. Bob Costas, O.J. Simpson, and Joe Namath in the studio, bringing you up to date with scores and highlights of all the action from around the league. That is just ahead. Halftime in Buffalo. The Bills with a 10-3 lead on the Jets. Now to Bob in New York.
Buffalo 10, Jets 3.